This is your astrology forecast for full moon in Gemini, and this one is happening on the 15th of December, and it's happening on the 23rd degree of Gemini. So if you have personal planets near 23rd degree of Gemini or Sagittarius or Virgo or Pisces, you're going to feel this full moon the most. And this full moon is the last full moon of 2024. So it's very good because it can bring a culmination of the whole year and the culmination of things that we've been avoiding, neglecting, ignoring, suppressing, shutting down, things that we've been trying to somehow escape, things we've been running away from. And now it's some kind of information or revelation and illumination and disclosure that is about to give us what we need in order to acknowledge it and to adjust it and to transform and to release. So something that's been hidden or something that's been impossible to be felt or seen or recognized before is coming to light. This is what full moons in general do. They bring things to light, but they also bring things to a fruition. So if we've been working on something, if we've been putting a lot of conscious effort into something, then we may see these things coming to a fruition. We will be able to manifest these things, to see them coming to a full circle. But full moons also bring completions, endings, closures, and things may be coming to a head. Full moons are intense energies, and full moons happen when the sun and the moon are in opposition. So they are looking at each other, our two greatest lights, our cosmical mother and father, our principles within ourselves, the sun and the moon, the main two polarities and hemispheres of the universe, as well as we have those same hemispheres within ourselves, as within, so without, as above, so below. So we are learning more about these principles, and this is a lot about revealing things that we've been doing to ourselves, self-manipulations, lies to ourselves, self-righteousness, emotional blackmails we've been doing to ourselves, because the ruler of this full moon is Mercury. Mercury is stationing direct on the same day of this full moon. So the ruler of this full moon is stationing direct. It's been retrograde. We've been dealing a lot with past, with information from the past, with secrets from the past, and Mercury is in Sagittarius. So, and the sun is also in Sagittarius. So we are able to learn more about things that help us see the bigger picture and not stay stuck and just look through one little hole. We have to open it up to tear down the doors and walls and to see it all in front of us and to see how we're going to react and what we're going to do with information that we receive. And Gemini Sagittarius polarity can be very complex and can involve a lot of communication, interaction, storytelling, and it can be very intense. But this full moon is making square with Neptune in Pisces. So not everything that we hear or see or feel may be true. Like things may not be as they seem, especially because Mercury just stationed retrograde. So we are still missing some information. We still cannot make any conclusion. We still need more things to be felt in order to comprehend and see the bigger picture. And we may find ourselves, being self-righteous or dealing with people who are stuck in self-righteousness. I am right, you are wrong, and you need to listen. And this full moon asks us to come back to that beginner's mind where we stay open to seeing things about ourselves, about others, and the world around us that we previously were avoiding. And it's easy to spiritualize our own dishonesty and our lack of integrity. And it's easy to pretend that we are, more honorable than we are. This is full moon to question what we think, what we hear, and what we say, and to be brutally honest with ourselves. It's also a full moon to question information that we receive from ourselves, from our intuition, which could be our ego pretending to be our intuition, and, questioning information that we receive through social media and through spiritual teachers or authority figures, even from, check every information, even one you receive from me or from your best guides, your astrologers, your coaches, your whatever, whoever you give your power to. Be aware, be careful who you listen to, who you follow, and always remember that it's much better to follow those people who are living in a way where they say, do as I do, and not do as I say. Because we mostly live in this world where we receive orders and guides from people who live in a way that they are sharing message where they say, do as I say, instead of do as I do. You just follow someone's example. No one should impose their will onto you. People should just, be an example, be a role model that you would love, that you had when you were growing up, that you would love to have now. Be your own role model. This is really big now. And the question is, are we ready to face the truth of who we are fearlessly? Can we handle the truth of who we are? Can we be fearless with who we are? And decisions based purely on logic and evidence may be very difficult to be made. And we must work hard to follow our intuitive senses and try not to become doubtful and negative, even if the facts point us into that direction. Communication in all its forms is deeply complex matter, and this moon illuminates how communication shapes our life. And, we are asked to really be prepared to listen as well as talk. And, we have to remember that communication is a two-way affair, which takes attention and commitment, especially when the subject matter is challenging or the dynamic is uncomfortable to bear. And this full moon supports those who know that times are changing and things simply cannot remain as they were. We are being introduced into this new year where all big planetary bodies are changing signs. So this is really big, and we won't be able to stay in the same roles. And just 1 week prior to this full moon, we experienced a big aspect that is very important, and that is Venus conjunct Pluto on the 0 degree of Aquarius, and Mars is retrograde right now. And Mars is retrograde in Leo at this moment, and it's opposing Pluto, and it's been opposing Pluto and Venus at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So this is a big regeneration, transformation, death and rebirth of relationships as we know them. Relationships are completely transforming. The way we do relationships, the way we attract certain people, the way we play our roles in relationships, the way we are in love, the way we allow others to be who they are, all the whole paradigm of being in relationships, in all relationships, social, private, personal, intimate, business relationships, these structures are being completely transformed on a collective level, of course, and we are going to see it in our personal lives. And, we are being reminded that every ending contains a new beginning, and that this isn't just an, age-old cliche, but an abiding truth. And let's not forget, Mercury is the sign of the twins, and we need to think twice before reacting or making any major decision. But this is not really a great time for making any decisions. Mercury just stations direct, and it takes some time for Mercury to really start moving forward. So we are still in that post-retrograde shadow period. Mars is retrograde, so we cannot force anything. We cannot really move forward in the way we are used to. We cannot react in the way we would usually want to. We have to find alternative ways of reaction, and we have to find our ability within ourselves to be patient and to have more understanding for ourselves and others. And we have to be careful not to speak every thought that comes into our head. Some things are better expressed when we are not so activated to act and react. We may finally get something off our chests that has needed to be said for a long time. This is also, very possible. But let's not, allow ourselves to make it bigger than it is. And, there is a big reminder and lesson here that says that, to have healing, to have anything, to have happiness, to have understanding, to have comfort, to have inner peace, it's necessary to want it. It's necessary to be open for it. And it's helpful if that wanting is not clouded with doubt or with misgiving. We have, get that out of the way, get real with ourselves and take up the full guidance of our life. And others may interpret our waiting, inactivity, or silence as something negative, but let's not allow that to bother us in any way. Misjudgments and cloudy thinking may make us angered, and we can project this to our relationships with important others. And this is, the typical general archetype of Gemini. It is full of contradictions. And we may be faced with a lot of contradictions and with mental split, with split in our relationships, with our inner split and conflictual mind. And it can be both the evil twin and the good twin. And we may be faced with certain people who actually show us the aspects of ourselves that reveal our dark twin or the good twin. We are going to really feel these polarities strongly. And, it's a perpetual battle between the twins and its shadow self. One tries to defeat the other and become that particular darkness that it tries to resist. So as long as we fight, as long as we find ourselves in conflict with that dark twin, we have a potential to become the dark twin. And, it's a strange contradiction when victory brings such a death. And we are learning that we have to integrate that dark twin, as we have to integrate the shadow, to integrate the darkness, and not to fight it, not to be focused on it, but to be focused on those things that we can achieve and that we can control, not on things that are outside of our control and that we don't have. So, we are mostly focused on things that are obstacles in our lives, instead of seeing those obstacles as something that helps us to rise above. And we are reminded not to do anything on impulse, because Mars is retrograde and we may be faced with some of that suppressed anger and rage. But the good thing is that the ruler of this full moon, Mercury, is making harmonious, friendly, and supportive trine with retrograde Mars in Leo. So we will be supported to express ourselves and to make action which is in alignment with our self-expression and with our truth. But this square with Neptune can really blur our minds. So it's not about making impulsive decisions, it's not about forcing anything, it's about allowing ourselves to gain insights that really resonate with ourselves. And if we feel anxious about some information that we receive, if we feel nervous, if we have negative emotions, let's not do anything with those. Let's just observe them and focus on those things that make us feel different from that. And, putting in too much energy on useless encounters would just exhaust us mentally and physically. And this can result in sharing opinions that we are not even sure that we believe. And Gemini likes to talk, Sagittarius likes to know. And when it comes to conversation, the question is, who is truly listening? Are we truly listening to one another? And are we able to hear what is being told to us, what is being shared with us? Or are we just waiting to interrupt with our opinion, with our truth, with our way of thinking? We have to be very careful of self-righteous grandiosity. And, of course, an identity crisis can come through as we dance through these polarities of twins that Gemini manifests, light and dark, heavy and bright, quiet and loud. All these polarities will be felt very strongly now, and we may feel like we are constantly, continuously oscillating and moving and being broken. And again, we are going through fusion and diffusion continuously, like we are being broken into pieces and then again collected into a whole. Then again, when we feel whole, we are again broken into pieces. And just when we want to give up, we are again back and feeling whole. And on. We may feel like this during the last 2 weeks of this year, but it's all necessary. It's all very, very purposeful. And we bear the possibility that we can fall under the spell of making something small mean something bigger, and feeling like a huge deal, when all we need to do is breathe the air for a while and then look again with new eyes and calmer mind. And we may be making things much bigger. Small things can create big shadows. Let's not forget that. Let's try to forgive ourselves if we mess up something, and let's also try to forgive others if they are willing to be open for that forgiveness, if they truly mean it. There is no point in holding on to negative emotions and negative expressions. And of course, there will definitely be the compulsion in the air to behave in the opposite way to which we truly feel, and it can be mentally tricky too. And certain messages and news may disturb us, but they will definitely change our mind, change our opinion, and bring mental rejuvenation, mental refreshment. And this is the story of oneness, actually. This is the Gemini, the twins, the union and separation, the Castor and Pollux. One is mortal, the other is immortal. There is suffering for that soulmate. There is suffering, there is a grief for the other. We are missing something. We are missing our other half, but this is not external half. This is within ourselves. But of course, it can and it will probably be manifested through our relationships. And the story of oneness talks about the separation from oneness and reunion with oneness. Just what I shared now with you, like when we feel broken into pieces and then recollected and we are feeling whole, then again broken into pieces. So this is reunion and separation. This is the appearance, disappearance, and reappearance of different stages of who we are. And we are invited to recognize our mortal and immortal selves. And we are invited to heal the inner split. And we will feel this inner split strongly. But this is an invitation to recognize mortal and immortal selves. So let's build the world with our pure words and intentions. Let's inhale the breath of stability and become the known, the knower, and the knowledge. This is the Gemini archetype that talks about these 3 expressions of Gemini: the known, the knower, and the knowledge. And we are going to feel this within ourselves. This Holy Trinity can become one, to integrate it into ourselves and to express all 3 stages of it, and to know that we need both of these axes where the full moon is happening, Gemini and Sagittarius, common sense and facts that will give stability to our beliefs. Sagittarius is higher education, higher mind, higher selves, seeing the bigger picture, expansion of perception, wisdom, searching for truth, searching for meaning, spiritual pursuits, while Gemini is facts, basic knowledge, analysis, intellectual way of thinking, using our mind, using our words, our thoughts. And we need both. This is not only lower mind and higher mind. This is about giving birth to that third force that arises from connection of these two polarities. And we shouldn't trust everything we hear during this time. We should do our own research. Doubt is healthy to a certain degree. And our individual structures may feel less stable now. We are asked to really take care of blind faith and fanaticism, and to listen to our gut feeling, and to know that we are all our own gurus. We have our own inner guru and our own inner healer within us. There is no other healer. All the gurus outside of us are just signs, symbols, reminders, information, but the real wisdom, the real food, the real nutrients are within. And everything that happens outside of us, whether it's good or bad, whether we interpret it as good or bad, because nothing in its essence is good or bad, but we interpret it as such. And it's all guiding us to turn within and to see that whatever we see outside of ourselves is direct reflection of our inner state of being. And I know this is not easy to digest, but when we start living from this space, the world changes. And we give ourselves an opportunity to change. And every word has its own frequency and numeric value. And Gemini, Mercury, third house, it's a lot about words. And what we speak, we create. We do spell our reality unconsciously. And, as they say, in the beginning was the word, but that word is the sound. And, light and sound are one and the same thing. Sagittarius is light and fire, and higher expression of words is light. And words are Gemini, so the opposite. Sagittarius is fire and light and wisdom. Words are Gemini, light Sagittarius. Light carries an information. Light has an information. That's why it's powerful to watch the sun at certain point of the day, the sunrise and the sunset, because it gives us powerful information through the rays of the sun that go directly into our eyes. That's why when we are sun gazing during the sunset or the sunrise, we receive through our eyes, through our pupils, information and wisdom. And that's how healing can happen, because those rays of the sun have the power to purge all the impurities within ourselves and toxic thoughts and beliefs and expressions and intentions. So it's very powerful to know these things. And this powerful information can feed us and heal us. And we are really realizing the power of the words and the power of information and the power of interpreting those information. How are we interpreting those information? And just imagine, I spoke about this in some previous video when I talked about the Gemini probably, or maybe something else, but I will mention it again. What would happen? What would have happened if we had some totally different information about death, about what death is, instead of being led to believe that death is the absolute end of our existence, total annihilation, or those terrible stories of heaven and hell that are really for little children. If you are good, you'll receive a cookie, and if you are not, you are punished. That's really a conditioned mind. That's a conditioned belief that we are being taught and that we are led to believe. And that's how we are being stuck and imprisoned in a certain pattern that is being repeated in a collective matrix. So we need to break through these illusions. That's why by observing and learning nature, we erase the fear of death and ignorance. And nature is full of information. It's really a very rich garden. It's abundant. And nature can also be destructive, of course, but this is the dance of the forces. Dual nature, world of illusion. Are we ready for the truth? Will we survive without the system? And we are being reminded that we are the tree of life. And this is the time to discern between imitation and creation, and understand that there is only one me. There is no copy of me. There is only one version of my voice. Someone may have similar voice, but it's still different. It's different frequency. Someone else with my voice still won't have the same way of expressing and saying words, of pronunciation. The way I use words is unique. And we are all unique, as each flower is unique, as each grain of sand is unique, as each drop of ocean is unique, but we are still part of something greater. This is a coherent world, a coherent system. And we definitely have to honor our uniqueness. And Gemini teaches us about diversity. And this is about unique way of expression. And it's a reminder that everything is information. Food is information. Our name is information. Word is information. I am information, but also a symbol. And symbol comes before information. We can receive this wisdom now from both lights, the sun and the moon. Our father and mother, our two eyes, our two lights, silver and gold, honey and milk. This is the sun and the moon, the path of the sun and the moon. Silver, the moon; gold, the sun; honey, the sun; milk, the moon. It's silver and white, and honey is gold. So these are really powerful things to comprehend and to embody and to apply into everyday life. Rather than removing any bad energy, we need to transform it. And we cannot remove it. It becomes transformed once we understand why it's there in the first place. And this full moon also helps us understand our roles in social circles, within our relationships with others, amongst others, with our siblings, with our peers, with our friends, with people we interact with, people from our local community, with our neighbors, with people from our close surroundings, with mutual friends. And we are really going to see how others give us certain labels and roles, and how we accept or not accept those roles. And if somebody labels us as a positive person, it's very hard, because we feel as if we can't be anything else but that. But we are actually a mix of everything. And the big problem is when we try to always fulfill that role, not to betray that role. And this is a time for really transforming those roles, and for seeing how can we cope with those changes. And we may be lying to ourselves. We may be very hyperactive, and we may see that we were taught to lie ourselves. It's not our fault, but it's our responsibility now to see it and to change it. We've been taught to lie ourselves all the time, to lie about how we feel, to pretend, to always pretend in front of everyone. And this is what Gemini is also about. We can pretend a lot, because Gemini, the twins, we can play different games, different roles. We can, social butterflies here and there and everywhere. Can be with everyone, can talk with everyone, but always somehow pretending and being exhausted out of those social interactions. But we are also seeing that our presence and absence count equally. Silence is very important too. Pause is important. And silence actually defines pieces of music, as we know. Silence is very important, and we need that space between. And Gemini is not only about talking, but knowing when to stop talking, knowing when to listen, knowing when to hear that silence so that we can hear that inner voice. And not saying anything is sometimes the real deal. You know, sometimes people feel they really have to say something, and if we find ourselves in that situation, but we know it's better to stay silent, let's stay silent. There is great wisdom in not saying anything sometimes, and we are going to see how we use our presence, because we can talk with our presence and with our silence. There is a lot to be told with silence and presence, and we are, you know, we are being shown how to use our true voice. You know, we are working with our breath, with singing, chanting. These are just tools, but the only tool we need is our presence. And this is what spirit is all about. And you know, Gemini does not like silence, but even if it's not outwardly saying, Gemini within us, because we all have Gemini somewhere, is expressing through movements and thoughts, through gestures, through mimics. And the power of the mind and how it shapes the whole image becomes very important. And we are being asked, what kind of energy do you emanate? You know, we are restructuring our perception about situation so that we don't fall into same old. And we don't want to recreate same situation. There is a lot of topics about, you know, soulmates, twin flames, and those terms have been toxified a lot. These terms have been demonized. These terms have been used and abused in many ways, and you know, it became a business. The whole spiritual movement became a business, a money-making machine. Even astrology too. I mean, astrology since long time ago, but now spiritual pursuits, spiritualizing everything and creating something that it's not is really, really dangerous for people who are desperate. And I just want to remind you, because this is Gemini, you know, information, and Sagittarius also information and beliefs and ideals, and who do we trust, who do we listen to, who do we follow. So let's not give our power away to those spiritual delusions and spiritual bypassing. We definitely need to confront ourselves and not believe in some fantasies out there, you know, like we will meet you with your twin flame. You don't have to do anything. Meet your twin flame in 12 steps or stuff like that. This can be very, very dangerous. So soulmates and twin flames, this can be someone who awakens our higher potentials, but through the dark night of the soul. And there are many different stages and phases of these relationships, of course. And this can be, you know, our mother, our lover, our teacher, our child, our brother or friend or whoever. They don't only bring happy experiences, you know, just let's look at our roles and we are going to see. We don't have to search anywhere else. We have to just look around us, our closest relationships with people around us, and we will learn so much about ourselves. These relationships that are closest to us reveal to us so many hidden aspects of ourselves that we don't have courage, or it's not about having courage, but we don't have an ability to reveal those things on our own. And we reveal things about ourselves through our closest relationships with others. And these are our soulmates and twin flames, our family and people who feel like our family, people who are closest to us, people who we interact with all the time. And they are there as our mirrors. And you know, so let's look at each other, you know, ask ourselves, what can we do differently? Are our relationships in alignment with us? Soulmate doesn't mean that someone is perfect for us. It can mean that, we meet now in this life in order to say goodbye, or to resolve something from many different lifetimes, or to upgrade it and transform it and make it powerful and strong. We are being reminded that there are no miracles in the way we've been told, but life is miracle by itself. We are a miracle. Just being alive and being here, being able to talk, to experience this life is a miracle. And everything that we see and observe is actually a miracle. This is a lot about mental connections, telepathy, teleportation, moving objects by the power of our own will. All these things are our natural abilities and gifts, actually. And we are also reminded that there is no injustice, actually. If we could see behind the wheels and beneath the surface and behind the scene invisible, everything is teaching us. Everything happens in perfect accordance to where we are, to what we do, to what we feel, to what we need in order to change, to evolve, and to mature. And this full moon really shows us the power of duality. Each twin has its own double as well. This goes deeper and deeper. And these are all aspects of our psyche, archetypes that live within us and that awaken through us. They play their roles through us, and we are given opportunity to understand, to understand the eternal and temporary, the heaven and earth, active and passive. Sacrifice is needed, in many ways and in many places, in order to understand these things. Good and evil, the tree of knowledge. And we are the tree of knowledge. We encompass all these dualities within ourselves. And the question is, what you have locked up inside of you? What do you keep there hidden? What prevents you from seeing light? And when we are triggered, it's a shadow. When we blame and judge, it's a shadow. And it could be scary, but this is what we need to face and confront over and over many times through our lifetime. And thoughts and words are highly important, and we live under the spell of thoughts and words. And these are some of the issues around truth and lies. Neptune squaring this full moon, and Neptune is the master of illusion, master of deceptions, of projections, of spells. And we may feel disoriented, not knowing what to believe. It's important to keep our mind sober. We don't want to lose our mind. Neptune can also make us look inward and find answers from within, tune into spiritual realm, into altered states, into higher states. Switch off our busy minds and go into nature. Go within. Our thoughts and words hold extreme power, and prayer has a very powerful influence now. This prayer is not about, asking for things. Prayer shouldn't be asking for things that we want, but actually prayer should be more in a shape of being grateful. This is the best way of praying, just being grateful for everything and giving our best to feel the power of complete forgiveness. And Neptune reminds us now that it's not all about us. There is a collective. We are we are drops of the ocean, but we are also the whole ocean into one drop. And are we ready to be responsible in that way? Saying truth demands responsibility and commitment. Are our thoughts and words coming from a higher place of existence, or from egoic wants and needs? This is very important question now. A lot of choices and options are presented to us now. Too much information, too much different angles of looking at one thing, and it may be hard to decide, hard to discern, between reality and illusion. But there is an ability to simplify things. And Neptune can bring sensitivity, fogginess, overwhelm, but also great inspiration and true connection. to tune into ourselves, to connect with the transpersonal parts of ourselves, to transcend, to feel that oneness, to feel the unity, to feel the unconditional love. And Gemini is not only intellect and duality, it's double sign twins, and it's conflict between ego and shadow, conscious and unconscious, and it can be very changeable, very inconsistent. And we are reminded that evolution comes through polarities. There needs to be battle between yes and no in order to come out of certain situation. And there is some kind of reset of certain areas in our life. And we should all check where Gemini, which house it's in our natal chart, where this full moon is happening in your natal chart, which house it is, and that area of your life will be, some kind of culmination will be happening there, some kind of revelation, information, news and messages that are very important, that can change your mind, that can disturb us in many ways, but we may be overloaded with news and information. Time goes faster because there's so much information. Space is full of data, and time seems to go faster than it used to 20 years ago, because there's so much data, so much information, and the space changes, so the time changes as well. Our impression of time flow is changing, and there's a lot of information that is leaking now. We may, on a collective level, some big news or messages or information can come to light, something that has been hidden, and this could be private information, secret data, and we are going to see how much that affects us collectively and personally. Personal information versus knowledge. And we are learning, we are experimenting, we are observing, and we need to connect with more like-minded people now in order to understand things from a perspective of a common sense. Because if we allow ourselves to think on our own right now without any consultation, we may not have all that we need, and we may be a bit lost in all that information because of this square with Neptune. And we are learning about authenticity and oneness through diversity. Gemini is knowledge, asking questions. It's about curiosity and intelligence. It's about being interested in many things at once. It's about truth and wisdom. It's about knowing things. I want to know. And Gemini wants to know how it functions, how it works. It collects information and proves. It's about understanding how something works. It's about, developing a lot of skills. And the more we know, the better we can take care of each other, actually. We are thinking critically now and using our intellect. And we may be discovering the tree of knowledge within ourselves. We can always know more. Truth is there. We can, search and research, ask questions, read books and investigate. But the question is, can we handle the truth about ourselves, within ourselves? Do we really want to know why we experience certain things? And it takes a lot of boldness and courage to go within and to see and recognize the aspects of ourselves in everything that we see around us. And we may be faced with a lot of unanswered questions too. And let's ask ourselves, what are my unanswered questions? We are looking for truth that is true for me as much as it is true for you, him or her. And we are bringing light of understanding. This is the value of knowing. And, curiosity is very important, but not curiosity just for the sake of curiosity, but curiosity for the sake of understanding each other. Curiosity for the sake of self-betterment and self-development and self-healing. And what kills that kind of curiosity? Boredom, depression, need to belong, need to be understood. So we accept the truth even if we haven't checked it at all. We haven't asked any further questions. We just accept it because we want to be accepted. And we are changing these things now. Mercury is a lot about, how we comprehend our life through looking, observing, understanding, expressing, and sharing, understanding all the details, understanding the pictures that we look at. It's a computer program. And many of us may have a big revelation that, this whole life and the complexity of it and our relationship, these are programs. And we are magicians. We are the alchemists. And what formula are we missing there? But we are learning through division. We are learning through separation. And separation is okay. It's fine because it is needed. Life is not all one. We are not all one and the same. There is diversity, and we have to discern things. We see differences, and we cannot really always reach the same kind of expression from within. We cannot react the same in all situations. In one atmosphere something is right, but in another situation that might be totally wrong. So there is no one rule for all situations. Even if the same situation is happening again, we cannot apply the same rule because something must be different there. Maybe different people are involved, and we always have to be present and see and be able to learn to discern, to see what is right and what is not right in order to react in a way that is aligned with our self-development. And we have to be up to date with where we are right here and right now, and not to always react from the past experiences, because this is what we do. We carry our past experiences and we react from them. We find ourselves in new situations, but we color those new situations with our past experiences. But this full moon really inspires us to have that passion for true knowledge, for knowledge that sets us free, to recognize lies that we tell to ourselves. And but truth is double-edged sword. Truth is in many places, and we are looking at one thing from multiple angles, and we are asked to be adaptable. This is flowing, airy energy, mutable sign. And we are being asked, what's between the beginning point and an ending point. And we may see that what things look like at the surface may not be the truth. Everything is not as it seems. Paradoxes exist in essence, and they are not paradoxes at all. Wave and particle, good and evil, plus and minus, negative and positive. We have to identify these things within ourselves. We have to accept our own shadow instead of constantly projecting it outwards. And there is an opportunity to choose to behave as we want, not as we are taught to, not as we are asked to. No, there is a freedom of choice, and to behave as we want, not as others want us, not as others expect us. And knowledge will set us free, but there is a responsibility behind it. What seeds are we going to sow now? Gemini is the wisdom of polarity, and all things are dual in nature, light and shadow, life and death. So, so that we can understand and learn about things. We cannot learn and see oneness without dual nature. We need duality in order to understand and learn, to become a wizard, to become a teacher, to understand our own nature. And Gemini and Sagittarius, these are archetypes of students and teachers. And we are always, always, always reminded that everyone we meet is our student and teacher at the same time. and we are somebody's teacher and student all the time. This is all the time through our life. But this full moon may make it more obvious now, and we are being really presented with ability to understand how we can connect with others, with life, with nature, with wisdom, with a bigger network. And we are being asked, what's taking our breath away? What makes us feel like it's something is taking our breath away? Because Gemini is a lot about breath and breathing, and they may need to clean up something here. There is, big opportunity now to truly see that things are not happening to us, but truly they are happening for us all the time. And Gemini brings different perspectives. And what if I just change my perspective? Accept that we don't know everything, and that maybe my angle of looking at things is not maybe the real angle. Or we can just change the perception at any time. So let's try. We can jump from one to another perception. We can switch and shift between different roles. And this full moon really wants us to see that if we are having it all good, and if things are going well for us, let's emanate some of that energy. Let's spread it. Let's let it out. Let's allow that energy to touch souls of others. If we feel at ease with ourselves, let's send some good vibrations there. And this is Gemini the twins, so some things may be happening twice. We may have to repeat things, to do them again, to do them twice. Mercury retrograde, but stationing direct. But anyway, Mercury retrograde, we may have to do things twice. And Gemini the twins, so we may have to learn something again. And this is very good time for humming, for music, for sound healing, for voice of the soul, for poetry, for the power of words, and for understanding the power of how we interpret certain messages, and how important it is what we say and what we don't say. These are all spells, and Mercury can be the trickster, and with two faces, but actually able to see from two different perspectives, two different realities. And this is also the story of union of these two polarities. It's the sacred marriage, the big work, the twins of the split mind that comes together into one, separation and union. And this is really something where we are being asked, what stories do we tell to ourselves? What stories we tell others about ourselves? And this is how we create and shift our whole world and reality. And what kind of narrative do we have of our life with ourselves? And we may be faced with some of our multiple personalities too. These are multiple realities, multiverse, multiple layers of everything. Everything is multi-layered, really. Not there is no one meaning of one thing. There are many meanings, just like in astrology, the many meanings of one sign. They are all multi-layered, and we are revealing some of those multi-layered expressions of who we are. And this is the wisdom of understanding that one from oneness is manifested the many, from one into many. And the one thing can be manifested in many different ways, and we are meeting many faces of ourselves, and we are able to recognize these many faces of ourselves through others. And we are able to take some concrete steps now, and to turn abstract ideas into concrete, tangible reality. This is a lot about mental discipline. And this whole journey, it's not only about this full moon, it's about everything that preceded this energy. It's about the eclipses that we experienced. The first eclipse in Pisces in September, then eclipse in Libra in October, then the shift of Pluto, the big change in November of Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius, where it will be next 20 years, then Venus meeting Pluto at 0 degrees, then Mars going retrograde. It's really big. And this whole journey is like we are moving from, there is a journey in tarot, from the Fool, the archetype of the Fool in tarot, to the Hermit. So we are moving now, we are being relocated from the Fool into the Hermit. And these are important things that make us, change our opinion, our decisions, our choices. And we are finding new ways of doing things. And the way we use our words, the tone we use in our conversations is very, very important. It's highly important. And our air, our breath, our lungs, our hands, everything is two, the doubles. This is ethereal and spiritual double. And the air we breathe also creates the sound. And, instruments, they are empty inside so that they can produce the sound. And we may be faced with some of that emptiness within ourselves so that we can hear the sound of that inner wisdom. We need to go into that emptiness within ourselves to truly feel, to hear that sound, to hear the symphony of our soul. And the mental fog and mental noise can be loud, but it will lead us into that state of emptiness that we need now. And this is a big reminder that everything can become a meditation. Everything, even the most uncomfortable things that we experience can become meditation. And this is really a time where this full moon will show us where we are wasting our energy, where we are wasting our programs, our habits. And it's a big reminder to slow down, and to absorb everything that is happening around us. And let's honor and be patient with our human side. We don't always know the way. Sometimes we just have to surrender. And it's acceptable to be angry, to assert yourself, and to allow heated emotions to be released. So let's shake off everything that is burdening us. And let's face our dark twins and meet multiple layers of our personalities. Let's fearlessly know ourselves. With this, I would end this forecast. And I love you all, and see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.